Hi everyone, it's Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I'm returning to a project that feels like it never ends. So, sometime back in the autumn last year, sorry, I've got really bad panda eyes, tired. I cut up a piece of 12 by 12 pattern paper using a one sheet wonder template. Can't remember which template I used. Put it all to one side because I got distracted. Forgot about it till the beginning of January. Yeah, that's what I did. Then I made 2 cards in January when I refound it. Then I made an art journal page using a few scraps of it. Thought I'd have another go, see if I could use a bit more up, see what I end up doing. Who knows? Just enjoy. Right, so made a start by grabbing some die cuts from the stash, most of which came from this little silver box that I just keep random die cuts that I've done in. And I thought that the this peach colour, which I'm pretty sure is Calypso Coral, don't know where I got that from, would be a perfect one to use, perhaps with maybe the tiny little ones, but I got a few out just in case. And then a nice sentiment. I'm just going to keep it really simple today. It's not like me, is it? Normally go a bit mad. Okay, so let's go a little bit mad because it feels weird to not go mad. I'm contemplating doing something to the background, but then keeping the top of it quite simple. So I've got a card blank here. Now I've made this card blank out of just linen cardstock that I got from Hobbycraft in a big pack. It's really good value and I really like it because one side's a linen finish and the other side is less textured. But I just think it's a really nice cardstock to work with as a backing cardstock or to use as a card blank. Okay, so I said I was going to do something to the background. What shall I do? I'm contemplating, where is it? I'm contemplating adding the birch texture, but doing something a bit weird with it. I'm thinking of heat embossing it using I was going to say clear, but then I had I remembered, bear with me whilst I go and get it. That's it. I've got this wow white pearl embossing powder. I think that'd look really elegant with that. That's what I'm going to do. Now, stamping a really big stamp like this, it's always easier to use a stamp platform if you've got one. Just because it can be a bit tricky sometimes to get all of it done in one go. But with the stamp platform, you don't need to worry about getting it all done in one go because of the fact that you know you've got time, you can turn it around and do it the other way. So I start by putting that in there. I use a Stampin' Up. I don't use the Stampin' Up stamp platform because I already have the Tim Holtz one, which, as you can probably see, is quite well loved with some permanent ink marks and stuff. I do need to clean it properly, actually. Ooh, it's also got ink on it, like wet ink. I don't know how I've managed to do that. That's clearly been there for at least a couple of days because it's been a couple of days since I've used the stamp platform. Oops. Yeah, quite grubby. That's why they call me Inky Fingered Cat. Okay, I'm actually going to turn it over, put it that way, and then, so you'll know I'm not putting it right into the corner. That's because I know that the inking doesn't start right at the corner, the rubber stamp. Oh, you would notice if I'd have bothered to put it in screen. the stamp doesn't start right on the edge, so I am pushing it in a little bit, and I'm just going to look at where I'm going to put it to, so that I know it's at 1 centimetre, so that if it does move and I feel like I need to re-ink, that's vaguely where I'm putting it. Because it's a background stamp, it really doesn't matter. Now I'm going to use Versamark, and again, I know this is mainly off screen, sorry, can't get the camera high enough up to be able to do that differently. I've just realised I also need to pull that up a bit. There we go. That's better. That's a fairly new ink pad, so this should do it on one pass, but just in case it doesn't, this is the reason why I use a stamp platform. No, I think that's done it nicely. I'm going to stick this to the side to clean later. And I need a piece of paper. I don't think I've got a piece of paper. I'm going to have to use this. Not ideal to use brand new clean cardstock, never mind. And I'm just going to stick that on there. Oh, it's beautiful. And there we go. Right, tidy up. Try not to bend the cardstock too much. I do want to get as much of it back into the bottle as possible, and the rest gets shook onto the floor because it'll hoover. Right, now to heat emboss, so I'm just going to pop on the mute. Okay, so there we go. That's now heat embossed. It's all melted, and that's a really pretty finish. It just adds that little bit of something in the background. I think it's needed. Now I'm thinking, do I want to edge this? Just with a bit of Coastal Cabana, I think I will. But I think we'll just do it with the ink pad. Just a light touch. Just gives it a nice soft edge because it's the same colour as the paper. And it just edges the bits that are in white. There we go. I think we'll just stick this down. And we'll call this a nice quick card. Once we've got our little embellishments on and a sentiment. That might actually take me longest to choose a sentiment. Okay, so I actually ended up adding a few more flowers because I just felt like it needed a few more. I'm going to stick that down, and then I am going to consider what we put in the centres. Do I want to put gems, or do I want to put some liquid pearls? And I think liquid pearl will go well with that pearlescent background. So I've got some platinum pearl, which I've not used for a long time, so let's hope it's not dried up. Let's see. Oh no, still getting some out, that's good. So I just want to fill the centres with a generous blob, and then we'll give it a good tap to flatten those out a little bit. A little tip is to use a pin if you don't want them to dry up in the little nozzle part, the nib part. Okay. Okay. from underneath. Just make sure that we've got all the air out. There we go. Pretty. Let's find a sentiment. I did say this is probably going to take the longest amount of time. I'm thinking maybe fancy phrases. There'll be something in here that I fancy. I mean, I do think just a nice simple strip going there would be lovely. Let's see. We've got some cardstock that happens to be really skinny. Will this fit? And let's have a look. Yep, I think that's going to fit nicely. Now, what colour to stamp it in? I want something that's darker than the Coastal Cabana. Bermuda Bay might not be quite dark enough. So I'm going to go for, I'm going to go for Lost Lagoon, which is an old, I think it was an in colour. I don't know if it says on here. It doesn't. But it's an old colour anyway. But obviously I keep all my ink pads until they run out. Now, that works nicely. I think once we've cut it and maybe edged it a little bit. I'm not sure if this will fit. What size? Oh no, I think it's too narrow, isn't it? Too narrow for my punch, for my back punch. So it'll have to be a straight edge, because Catherine's not particularly good at cutting banners herself. They always end up lopsided. And I'm wondering, I think we'll edge it in the Lost Lagoon as well, just to give it a little bit more depth of colour. But it's still tonal and it still works together. Okay. So I think that can go there. I'm wondering, does it want dimension? No, I don't think it needs dimension. I think it's quite a pretty card. Doesn't need any extra dimension to lift up those elements. Otherwise I probably should have lifted at least one flower, which I didn't. Right, I'm just going to slightly slide it over. Again, the joys of liquid glue, because if it's going to touch one flower, I want it to touch two. There we go, that works nicely. Sending a smile your way. Used up a bit of my pattern paper, but I've made something look a little bit different with the embossing in the background, using the birch background stamp, which I've lost in the box too. There it is. Birch background stamp. It's just fab for adding something a bit subtle in the background, but it still looks nice and natural. So these leaves are actually from the Pierced Blooms set, and these are from the Wreath Builder set of dies, but because they're just leftovers from other projects, so they're from my little tin of goodies. Nice simple project. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to see more in future. I don't just do Stampin' Up stuff, I do lots of other bits and pieces too, although I must admit I am loving my Stampin' Up products at the moment. Please do obviously drop me a comment as well if there's anything you want to comment on. I do love reading the comments and I try to respond to them. Obviously if they're nasty comments they just get deleted, but hopefully I can trust you all not to be nasty and to do nice things. So until next time, bye bye.